lift that the private sector should do there. Thanks very much to the panel, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you, panel. I want to connect some dots for you. Mobile technology, health, nutrition, and agriculture. Our next speaker is going to connect all of those dots together. She's the head of mNutrition program, GSMA M4D, Natalia Pshenichnaya. Please come up here on stage. Natalia, thank you very much. So Natalia's last name means something incredibly relevant, right, Natalia?
Yeah, it actually means made of wheat in Russian.
Made of wheat in Russian. What better way could we start this conversation? Natalia.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much to the organizers for this opportunity. We all get very excited when we start talking about the opportunity for technology in transformation, and especially about opportunity for transformation in agriculture. But what does it actually take to work with a digital company to make solutions for the rural and agricultural sector? We at GSMA have been working for the last 9 years to collect best practices on use of mobile in rural. And we've been supporting implementation of some of those projects, including projects in mobile. Let me take you with me on a journey to Sri Lanka, where mobile operator Dialog, the largest mobile operator in that country, is leading innovation in the agricultural segment through technology. Sri Lanka is quite a small market, but 80% of the population live in rural, and those people are actually customers for Dialog Sri Lanka. Why not check and why not want to know what those customers actually want and what their struggles are? What is very unique about Sri Lanka is that they have very high use of chemicals because of the last 4 decades of subsidized chemicals by the government. And also this is the country where 1/4 of women and 1/4 of children under 5 are malnourished. We have worked with Dialog Sri Lanka team on the mNutrition initiative funded by DFID to develop, test, and scale solutions for those challenges. And one of the things that we have found out when we were doing research is that farmers actually do have access to information, but they might prefer to ignore this information and advice because of the perceived risk to their incomes. What's more is that the good thing we found out is that majority of those farmers, they actually have already kitchen gardens and have an opportunity to establish a kitchen garden for their own home production. One of the things about the information as well is that very often this information is not timely. One of the other things that we were able to create based on the market research was the archetypes of different farmers within the community. And I would argue with the previous panelist speaker who said that farmers no longer want to be farmers or farmers are getting old. There are different types of farmers. And specifically for this project, we have created archetypes to identify who might be the early adopter of mobile technology solutions. And we have identified 2 likely archetypes. Those on the slides that you see are the stuck farmers, people who actually have capacity to make changes and maybe even invest in better practices, but are avoiding the risk. And there are optimistic farmers that drive change. So those that were the farmers that were targeted with an innovative solution offered by Dialog. I want to say that the solution actually worked, and I'll show you some impact results later. But why did it work? Firstly, because it was very easy to use. It's a voice service offered in both local languages, and it's delivered the time when farmers can actually listen after they work in the field and in the evening, and all of those insights came only from the field through the careful research. It's a very easy and simple to understand pricing of 1 rupee a day per crop, which farmers agree with and they think it's fair, and they're happy to pay this amount. It's a highly localized content, which is based on crop calendar, has been developed in collaboration with District of Agriculture. And what's most interesting is that it's actually content which is relevant to specific agroclimatic zone where the farmer is located. And this information is picked up from the network data that Dialogue actually has on those farmers. The diversity of crops available on this system makes it interesting for both male and female farmers. And one of the other things which I wanted to mention is that marketing took a while to figure out, but once they figured it out, it worked. And this includes free trial for 30 days and leveraging on existing Dialogue distribution channels and the brand that they have in the rural areas. One of the interesting things about this service is that it opens up with a jingle, and it's offered in local languages, both by male and female voice, depending on the type of the crop, that farmers can actually relate to the characters, and they like those characters that are giving them advice. One of the questions I'm always asked is, what is in there for mobile operator? Well, specifically in this case, for Dialogue, it looks like they have really addressed the need in the rural market. This particular service is a top 5 market. They have top 5 service in the value-added service portfolio they have ever launched in terms of usage and scale. It took months to experiment with marketing, but once they figured out the right channels, it took them just several months to reach up to 250,000 of customers. But out of those 250,000, 70% are active and using the service on a daily basis. And out of them, half are women. What's most interesting is that the service is very close to break-even. We have observed all sorts of income, all sorts of impact on different levels, such as reduction in chemical use, as well as increase in the diversity of crop production and production of vegetables in the kitchen gardens by the women. And when we compared the behavior change between those who actively use the service and those who not, we found very significant differences in there. So the active users, the power users of government service are twice more likely to decrease use of chemicals, twice more likely to change the harvesting practices, and 3.5 times more likely to change when, what, and how they plant. The key lessons for us are mobile can accelerate the change which is required in the agricultural sector, but there needs to be a very careful implementation with user needs assessment at every single step of the product development cycle, and the use of business intelligence data to inform the evolution of those services. It also requires dedicated product teams, and it requires C-level sponsorship. Specifically for this case, CEO of Dialogue Sri Lanka, Dr. Hans, was an ambassador for the service, making sure that the right departments are engaged at the right time and the resources are available. And most importantly, I would like to say that there is a need for smart philanthropic capital, which would unlock the R&D required to produce technical, commercial, scalable solutions for rural sector. And philanthropic capital can play this role to unlock the risk capital required for this market. Thank you so much.